All right, afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We're here for now the seventh session of today and the second one on Goal 14, which is discussing um, Goal 14, discussing life underwater. And we're joined by Tommy from Bamboo Brush. So, hey, Tommy, how are you doing?
Hey everyone. Very well, thank you. How are you? Oh, you muted
Doing,
yourself. Oh yeah, you could.
doing well. Just getting us broadcasted into the hub so that everyone else
All
can
right,
join us
afternoon,
too.
everyone.
There you go.
Perfect. There we go.
Awesome. So, how are you doing today?
Yeah, very good. Busy day. Exciting. It's the start of Plastic Free July. So we launched a couple of crazy campaigns.
Love it.
Yeah, so it's been a busy day and now we get to speak to you guys. So exciting.
Fantastic. So, for all of you who are watching, a quick intro to Tommy, and there's another part to Tommy, which is Rebecca, but she's not with us today. But I got to learn about Tommy and Rebecca about almost 9, 10 months ago. A dentist friend of mine actually introduced me to them. And when I saw their story and I looked at their mission and just following them over the last strength to strength, I really felt like they're truly a beacon for this specific goal, and particularly the topic that Tommy is going to dive into. So I'm not going to go into too much of that. But yeah, really honored to be joined by them today, and just really looking forward to all of you experiencing the progress that they've made on Goal 14. So, Tommy, over to you.
Thank you very much. What an intro. That's amazing. Very flattered.
You should be. You guys are doing amazing work. So, looking forward
We're
to you.
certainly trying to we're trying our hardest. We're trying to be creative as possible. So
Well, I think you guys have been extremely creative. So feel free to dive into your journey whenever you're ready.
Let me just share my screen and then hopefully that will be as smooth as we planned. Maybe I could do whole desktop share and then I can come off that. View, slideshow.
Perfect.
Okay, so can everyone, well, it's only you, but can you see me all good?
All good. The broadcast has come through well as well. So you're good to go.
Perfect. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that intro, Namisha. Yeah, I'm Tommy. I'm the founder of Bamboo Brush. And yeah, we've got some really exciting stuff that we're doing at the moment. And I'm just going to go through everything that we've done in the past. And hopefully inspire you to make some simple changes in your day-to-day life. I said just before this with Namisha that today is the start of Plastic Free July, which is a massive month in everything that we're doing around plastic pollution. So it's kind of fitting that I'm here speaking to you lot. So yeah, Sustainable Development SDG 14, and which is everything life below the water. So it's all around how we can keep and preserve the incredible materials that are in the water and the elements that are in the water, because essentially they keep us alive. As you guys know, 70% of our planet is made up of the water, and also between 50 and 80%, it depends on the time of year. The ocean provides the majority of our oxygen that we breathe. So pretty much every second breath that we have is from the ocean. So it's really important that we focus on protecting what we've got. It's pretty much our lifeline. So yeah, and specifically SDG 14.1, which is reduce marine pollution. There's lots of figures and lots of studies out at the moment, and I'm sure we've all seen some of the pretty drastic and crazy images and videos of plastic pollution, and I'll go through some of the ones that myself and Rebecca have taken over our time living around the world, just to give you that context of everything that we're trying to do and where everything has come from. So just quickly, everything that I'm going to be talking for the next 45 minutes, hour, is three main points really. So everything that we're doing now and everything we're looking to do in the future has kind of driven through what we did in the past. So our why is massive, and our why comes from our story. So I'm going to touch on our story. It's a massive, important role in everything that we're looking to do, and it's kind of shaped everything we're striving to achieve. Everything that we're doing now, all the crazy, you'll soon see that when I say crazy, I mean crazy. All the crazy things that we're doing at the moment with the company, and then all the outside elements that come part of what we're doing, and also our mission, looking further forward in the future, what our long-term goals are that implement everything that we do. And then just going back to what I was saying, each part of the business, our why, our now, and our mission, they really wouldn't work. They really wouldn't work without each other, really, and they're as important as each other in everything that we're striving to achieve. And then I don't want to talk all about myself and what we're doing. So hopefully, at the end of all that, I want to try and show you how we can all make simple changes in our lives and spread our message, and we can all do little parts to positively impact the planet. Really, I think everything at the moment is very overwhelming. There's so many negatives that are happening in the world that we kind of need to reevaluate and see what we can do as one. So hopefully I can give you that and then inspire you to go and do something crazy like we have. So let's get straight into it, into our why and our story. So unfortunately, the better half of At Bamboo Brush isn't here, but there is just two of us. Myself, Tommy Eaton, and my better half, Rebecca Dubbridge. We're actually partners in life as well as business, which makes it amazing and tricky and all the complications, but we're very lucky to be able to have a shared passion and work hard to something that we're very proud of what we've achieved so far. So yeah, there's complications and all that, but it's fun to say the least. So Rebecca's background is slightly different to mine. When Rebecca left school, all Rebecca wanted to do was travel. That's literally all she did. So she came straight out of school, worked for about a year, and then just got a one-way ticket east to Asia. Rebecca then spent the next 4 years living in around Asia, and then 4 years in Australia, and that's where we met. The 4 years in Asia she spent working as travel agents in the hospitality industry. But in total, Rebecca's been traveling and living abroad for about 10 years. So I always make a joke, she's a little bit older than me, but I always say that she's a traveling dinosaur. So she's a real free spirit, and yeah, she's pretty incredible. She's all right. So that's her background. Myself, I always wanted to be a teacher. Ever since I was grown up, my mum's a teacher, my sister's a teacher, always wanted to go into education. So finished university, went into the educational sector, and then took the classic gap year, gap 3 months, saved up money and went for 3 months, got back to the UK, went to go back into education, and kind of I knew there was something else out there for me. So pretty much similar to Rebecca, booked a one-way ticket back out east, so everything started back in Asia and then Australia where we met. So mine a bit different, but living in Asia, living in Australia, we met. Long story short, we ended up deciding to go traveling together. So for the next 2 or 3 years, we ended up living and working around Asia, which was pretty incredible, and we had some pretty amazing jobs, which I'll go into now. And I promise all of this story links into everything that we're doing further. It's not just showing you some glamorous holiday photos. So we were very lucky. So we were able to build a social media following, and then we actually started to get jobs in social media, and we did that cringy influencer style jobs, which were incredible. It allowed us to travel, and what it did do, it allowed us to go to a lot of places around Asia and revisit the same places. And what we started to see was the dramatic impact in which we go to one place, say in January, we'd go back to that same place 6 months later, and the increase in the amount of plastic pollution that was ending up in the environment, in the ocean, on the beaches. And it really started to open our eyes into, I'm not going to swear, but oh my God, there is so much plastic out here. And especially for Rebecca, after traveling, at this point, she was traveling for about 8 years, been living around Asia for the last 8 years, and seeing when she first went traveling, and these pristine, beautiful places that we get to see, like these photos here, and then just being polluted by plastic. So we just kept traveling. Here's some of the photos in which these are photos that we took on our travels. And I mean, you see, you can just go back from that and it looks absolutely pristine. And then you have these that you don't see. So what started to happen was we were going back to these same places. And I think the word is naively, these places were the norm. Plastic was just the norm. And it got to a point where it was, oh, that's Asia. This sounds really bad, but that's Asia. There's plastic pollution everywhere. That's Asia. And that it wasn't as hard hitting. So these images started to become normal, which wasn't right, but it'll all make sense in a bit. But yeah, so the middle image is a place in Cambodia. They have no waste management system. This is just, I think it's about 2 hours east of Siem Reap, which is, I think it's the capital. But they don't have any waste management system, so that just gets discarded. The one on the right, I'm about to show you a video actually, is a place called Koh Lipe. It's an island on the border of Thailand and Malaysia, quite secluded. Not many people have been there. And then these toothbrushes, funnily enough, they're in Bali. But yeah, here's something really cringy. Hopefully I can show you. I never meant this to happen, but we now do a lot of talking on camera. We do a lot of, talking like social media. And this video I'm about to show you is actually the first time that I ever spoke on camera. And it was all about plastic pollution. So hopefully I can show you this quite simply. So apologies for the cringiness, but it's just highlights and links everything together. I'm here at the Thai beach, Koh Lipe, and it's absolute paradise, as you can see. But unfortunately, there's parts of paradise which you don't see, and there's hundreds and hundreds of kilos of plastic all the way up the beach. Bottles. I saw a pair of Nike football boots the other day, but these are the parts you don't see on Instagram or Facebook. So yeah, so that was kind of the first time that we started to actually highlight the fact that plastic pollution is something that's not going away, and we need to address that. It made me talk on camera, which is pretty crazy, which I'd never done before. So we started to look into plastic pollution, especially with the jobs that we were doing, and through Asia, plastic pollution was absolutely everywhere. And it wasn't until we got a job to go around Europe, pretty amazing job, 8 weeks, all paid for, to travel around Europe. We went to 30 different cities, 15 different countries, and just to take photos and do social media, all that cringy stuff. But it wasn't until then that we started to understand that plastic pollution isn't just in Asia, it's absolutely everywhere. And this is when we started to look into some of the facts around plastic pollution. You guys have probably seen quite a few of these, but I'm just going to delve into some of these facts which kind of opened our eyes into why we really need to do something about this situation. So 8 million metric tons of plastic enters our oceans each year. I think it works out to be 1 garbage truck every single minute of plastic enters our oceans, which is just disgraceful. And that's going up. There was a study I saw this week that potentially that's actually increased to 14 million metric tons within the last couple of years, which is crazy. This one's mad. By 2050, there'll be the same ratio of plastic to fish in the water, so 1 to 1. This isn't correct. This is not how our oceans should be. One that's specifically linked to what we're doing, 3.6 billion plastic toothbrushes are sold each year. And every single plastic toothbrush that you've ever owned is still on the planet today, which is mad. I'm 28. Before last year, I was always using plastic. We use on average 4, 5, 6 toothbrushes a year, possibly 150 toothbrushes just for myself. Multiply that by how many people use toothbrushes around the world. It's a pretty scary figure just on a toothbrush. And then this is a recent study which really, it links in well with a video I'm about to show you how scary the amount of plastic that is in the ocean and in the environment. All of the plastic in these videos and photos that we see around the world and harming wildlife, it only equates to 1% of the actual amount of plastic that is estimated in our oceans, which is the scary bit. The rest of it breaks up into smaller microplastics, which you might have heard of, to make a layer of sediment at the bottom of the seabed. This is just mad. So thinking about, you had the Iron Age, you had the Stone Age. Jokingly, people are saying this is going to be the plastic age. A common misconception with plastics is that once they enter the ocean, that they break down. And it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine, the fact that people think that they break down. What actually happens is they break up into smaller microplastics. So microplastic is a tiny, I think it's under 4 millimeters it has to be to become a microplastic. So when your plastic, we'll say a plastic toothbrush, I don't know, Namisha, can you see me on screen?
Yes, we can, yeah.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, so this is a plastic toothbrush that we found when we were in Ghana recently. And I've actually got one here that kind of demonstrates exactly what I'm about to say. Is through the tidal pressures, also the solar, the UV rays, and the salinity, the salt in the water, what happens, it softens the plastic, and these plastics then break up into smaller microplastics. But what then happens is they go all around the world, and once they get to a certain size, you'll find that smaller fish, also plankton, will ingest the microplastics thinking that they are food. So then suddenly you've got plastics in our food chain in which we're at the top of. And this is the next bit, is the scary part, and something that I don't actually think we know enough about yet, is that if we're at the top of the food chain and we're ingesting all of this plastic, there are so many links to cardiovascular and cancer diseases, and there's also links to genetic. It's not proven yet, but there is causality, I think, and correlations between genetic and genome changes through the microplastics that are found in our body. I mean, some of were you going to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that, people often think that like a decision to quit seafood is probably because of becoming vegan. But to be honest, if you speak to majority of people, it's actually the fear that they're going to be ingesting a whole load of crap when they eat this fish. And so I just thought that was an interesting fact to share.
No, it is, and it's that, exactly that, and it goes across not just seafood. Like, I used to love rock salt. This is really weird, but I used to love rock salt, like big chunks of salt in my food. But like, if you actually look into rock salt, that's probably one of the worst places, because it just sucks up the microplastics, and then God knows, I don't even know like the amount of plastic that you're consuming from the salt. So there's so many avenues, even to the point, as a study that come out a couple of weeks ago, that in fact there's quite a few studies about this, that because the microplastics are becoming so tiny that they're engulfed in the air particles. So across major cities. There's microplastics in our air that we're breathing in. So I think I'm not a scientist and I'm not an expert, but there are so many scary correlations that are coming out about health and the amount of plastic that we're ingesting. And it's something that we really need to highlight at the moment.
And I think also people forget that, and so, the reports you mentioned are accurate. Scientists are able to measure volumes of plastic, particularly in snow on Everest, in places where you just don't even find people. And I think a common misconception is that, well, what I do in the ocean, how's that going to get to the top of a mountain? And it's like people don't understand that our entire Earth and its natural systems are actually quite linked up.
Yeah, and it's them they're linked up, but also the environmental pressures and conditions that we put under plastic. Plastic's a fantastic material, but they break down a lot, and then that's the point where it's very scary that they continuously break down. And if you think you've got something like a microplastic, and then you've got a nanoplastic that's light enough to float around the air in our wind, that's the scary part, because that you can't even study the amount of plastic that are traveling in the air. It's just it's pretty crazy. So
well, it's a little bit like coronavirus, right? Like we had a speaker previously who was like, oh, do you know that air pollution is particulate size is bigger than coronavirus? And I was like, what? So I'm sure it's the same for plastic as well.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's the big thing. And then so these are just the facts. I don't want to go too much into the facts, but they're pretty scary. And it made us think, okay, we need to take action. Myself and Rebecca have built this social media following. We had about 40,000 followers, which is not massive amounts, but we had a loyal following in which people really engaged in what we were doing, which is very humbling. And we thought we need to use this as a platform for good. So what we started to do initially was, we were very selective in the companies that we were working with. We know that travel is not the best for the environment. So we started to work with companies who are looking to make changes in the way they run and become more sustainable. We've done that. I was going to show you a video, but I don't think I'm going to have time. But it's just showing the difference in the videos that we started to make. And we were working with travel companies on how can we know that travel is a negative, so there's negative impacts on the planet, but how can we reduce them negatives by giving back to the planet? Was that beach cleanups? Can we work with local communities to help, instead of getting money from outside, use local guides? Can we use local tour companies? These small tiny things that we can all do, well, as a business they can do, but they add up, especially in the local communities in these, especially in the developing world. So that's where our life went into that sustainability world. We continued that for about a year, and that's when we started to think, okay, we want to do something ourselves. We started to look into more about plastics. We started to look into products in which that we wanted to be able to sell and have as a brand. And we had no money. We still got no money. No, I'm joking. We had no money. And we wanted to think, how can we impact the planet? So we needed a product that everyone has. We needed a product that was cheap. We needed a product that was sustainable and eco-friendly. Toothbrushes, after seeing the stats on 3.6 billion toothbrushes, became like the perfect product. The way I described it was, if we could walk down the street, how many people down that street would buy a product of ours, whether that's a hat or a clothing range. And they're a toothbrush. Everyone has a toothbrush. Everyone uses plastic toothbrushes. There is a simple alternative. So we started to look into alternatives around plastic toothbrushes. And there's a number out there. There's cornstarch, and we tested a few, but bamboo was like the perfect material. We'd seen bamboo all over Asia being used as scaffolding. In Hong Kong, it gets used as scaffolding to build skyscrapers. The material is incredible. And there's just a few facts on bamboo. It grows ridiculously fast. It's the fastest growing plant in the world. It can grow up to 1 meter a day. They say you can watch it grow. It can be fully harvested in 3 years, which is another crazy one, sustainably. Also, what happens is they don't harvest it fully. They'll cut it from about a foot from the ground, and because of its incredible root system, it will just continue to grow. So sustainably wise, it's amazing, and it's super strong. It's so strong. As I said, it gets used in Hong Kong and across Asia as scaffolding, and there's loads more benefits. Anti-inflammatories. It absorbs more carbon dioxide. It produces more oxygen. So it was just like the perfect material. So we went for it. That was it. We just thought, okay, let's go for it. We had to thought of a name, @Bamboo Brush. The is really important for us because of it's our background in social media. We want to use the power of social media, and that links perfectly with our mission, which is our mission is to use the power of social media in a positive way to educate, inspire, and empower through purposeful products that give back to create purposeful impacts to our planet and our people. So there's a few words in there: educate, inspire, and empower, that I'm going to touch on later. But this was our mission. We had these incredible products. We had this platform, and it might sound crazy, but what we wanted to do next, we launched in February last year with a crazy goal of, we wanted to sell 1 million of these beautiful, sustainable toothbrushes before the turn of the next decade. As I said, we had no money. The only money we had was Rebecca got an insurance claim of £800 because their laptop got stolen, and that's all we had to start the business. So we had to be very creative in everything that we were doing with the business. So we needed to use social media. We know it's so powerful. So hashtag 1 million by 2020 was our big thing. Alongside that, going back to my teaching days, I feel most comfortable standing in front of a bunch of 38-year-olds, and that's where I feel natural. So being in that educational environment is so important to me, and it's so natural, and I believe it was so important for us to deliver in school. So we developed and launched our plastic pollution workshops, which is really going in to teach the children about how we can all make simple changes. It's fantastic to link plastics and the ocean, because the children get so excited about a turtle and a dolphin and a whale, and we just put some videos of the things that we've seen, and they're so enthusiastic. So we launched our plastic pollution workshops, which were amazing. We also delivered community cleanups. This links into kind of everything we were doing with the travel companies and the hotels. Community cleanups are a big thing in Asia. There's plastic everywhere, and it needs to be done, and we don't get it as much in the Western world, but I think it will become more important. So we launched that as well. So there was 3 aspects of everything that we're doing: the educational side, we say the inspiration and getting people up and out and cleanups, and then the toothbrush. We partnered with a pretty incredible charity called Humanitas, in which we give 25 cents of every one of these that we sell on our online store to Humanitas, and they work across the world to help vulnerable children get education and healthcare in a family, and we're becoming more of an integral role in everything that they're doing, and I'll touch on that in a minute. So we give 25 cents, and also we have little baby toothbrushes, which we give another baby toothbrush to a child in need across the world. And then our mission, this kind of links in with everything with Humanitas, and our mission is the third part of everything that we're doing. Our mission is to set up simple recycling centres in the developing world. So the reason for that is because morally, I don't know how much people know, but morally, we think it's awful, the fact that the Western world have all the infrastructure and all the finances and all the facilities to deal with our own waste. Yet once we hit our quota, or the European quota, or whatever the quota is, 100%, we will then ship all of our recycling and plastic to the developing world and pay them to do our recycling for us. But what happens is the developing world do not have the infrastructure, nor do they have the finances or the facilities, and the whole recycling world is very corrupt, that all of this plastic and recycling just gets dumped into our environment. Hence all them videos that you've seen of plastic just absolutely everywhere around the world. So we think it's wrong that's the way, or that's the flow of our recycling in the Western world. So we want to set up, they're just localized incentives so communities can gather that plastic and then that can be delivered at a recycling center, in which in exchange for either educational fees or groceries or everyday things that they need. It all works right in my head. How we're going to get there, we don't know, but we've got some exciting things coming up very soon. So yeah, so that was everything. That was our mission. And then so far, since launching in February last year, we're very proud to say that our hashtag 1 million by 2020 target, we hit that within 9 months, which was pretty, we're pretty amazing, really. So it's actually now about, I think it's a bit more than this now. It's about 1.5 million bamboo toothbrushes that we've sold since February last year. And we've done all that from, I'm currently sat in my dad's office, which is in my mum and dad's garden, and we live in my bedroom at my mum and dad's house. So we've done all that from my bedroom at my parents' house, which is pretty crazy. Our community cleanups, we've delivered 18 so far, and we've had 315 people taking part, and we've cleaned up over 625 kilos of plastic, which is, we're very proud of that. Our plastic pollution workshops, we've delivered 10 into 10 schools, and over 1,500 children have attended. We've also delivered one virtual lesson for Earth Day, which was amazing. We had over 1,700 people tune in to the 4-hour workshop, which was pretty mad, to be honest. We've won 3 awards. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but we've won 3 awards we're very proud of. And we've also sold in 48 different countries, which is the power of social media. And we've raised, it's now about £3,000 for Humanitas charity, which is, again, pretty crazy. And how we did it, we had this thing with our toothbrushes. As I said, we had no money. We put no money into advertising and marketing. So we needed to be clever. We needed to use social media in a positive way. So we had this thing where if people bought their toothbrush, they'd take a photo and put it onto their social media platform. And then hopefully that spread that message to their followers, whether that's they've got 100 followers, whether they've got 200,000 followers, you're still spreading that positive message that we can all change the world and make simple changes away from something we use every day as a toothbrush to a bamboo toothbrush, something sustainable, something eco-friendly. So we use this thing and we've had some pretty, I've got some photos in a minute of some pretty crazy celebrities holding our toothbrushes. Yeah, so some of the companies that we've worked with so far, we're pretty, yeah, as I say, keep saying we're very proud of what we've achieved, but we're the first bamboo toothbrush to enter the skies. So we've got a big contract with the incredible Virgin Atlantic, and they're actually they won an award for the most sustainable amenity pack in the skies, which is this. So we're a part of that, which is pretty amazing because we know that the travel hospitality world is pretty bad for single-use plastics, to say the least. So that was a massive one for us. We've had a big interview on BBC News, which was amazing. We were the first 100% eco-friendly company to work with TUI. That was last October. We've got accreditations, PETA and animal cruelty and vegan. This one isn't actually, we haven't released this one yet, but so you guys are the first ones to hear this, but we are officially partners and suppliers for Team GB. Obviously, everything's gone a bit.
That is so exciting! Well done.
Thank you, Demisha. Yeah, so that's a big one. When we hit our target last year of 1 million by 2020, our next target was to get. I'm a bit of an Olympic geek, so our big target was to get every Olympic athlete at next year's, which was last year, at this year's Olympics, to make a swap from a plastic toothbrush to an at bamboo brush. And yeah, back in a couple of months ago, we got our contract with Team GB. So that's all been pushed forward to next year. And then there's some other companies that we've worked with, Amazing Apprenticeship, World Challenge, Plastic Pollution Coalition, who I'd recommend everyone to go and check out. And our partnership with Humanitas has grown, which is we're very proud of. Please go and check out Humanitas Charity. The work that they do is amazing. But we've come on board as their environmental kind of arm with everything that they're doing in healthcare and helping vulnerable people around the world. The environment is a massive aspect of that. And I think a lot of charities kind of forget that. We went to Ghana recently, and I mean, the photo there is some of the living conditions, and it's overlooked in dealing with the person, individual, or the vulnerable child, which, yes, of course, is the main part. But if you're living in that area and you're not dealing with the plastic and the waste and everything properly, then inevitably these children and these adults and parents and families, they're going to have health problems further down the line. So we're now working with Humanitas to try and encourage these communities in developing countries to have a look into their waste management facilities, whether our recycling centres link in with that. That's something we're exploring at the moment, which is really exciting. But it's a massive part, and I think a lot of the environmental side will be more integrated into charities who are dealing with companies in the people in the developing world. So that's super exciting. And then recently we have just launched a Kickstarter, which we still have 7 days left on. We have worked out that from our toothbrushes, we've stopped over 30,000 kilos of plastic from entering commercial circulation just from one product, a simple product like that. So after a lot of requests and a lot of people asking and a lot of deliberation, it was now time for us to launch a full range of sustainable products, which we are super excited to put out there and promote. Our big thing is one simple change, and all of these products are linked to the top 10 ocean polluters. So I think the most, apart from cigarette butts are the biggest ocean polluter, but apart from that, they're all ticked off the next lot of ocean polluters. So food packaging, so we've got a stainless steel lunchbox. We've got a water bottle for obvious reasons. 1 million water drinks bottles get sold every single minute, and we can get free water from the tap. It's mind blowing, really. But yeah, we've just gone through. So please go and check out the Kickstarter. We've got a pretty incredible video on there. All
I
around.
really wanted to talk about that. The video you guys have created is honestly really inspiring. I did post it inside this hub prior to you guys.
Oh, fantastic.
But for those of you who are watching after Tommy finishes, make sure you go and check it out. And like he said, there's still 7 days for the campaign to run. So please do go and support them. I personally was so excited when you guys did this, because I was like, yes, more products. Woo!
I always had this vision of being that crazy company that had one product, and it was just a toothbrush. But I mean, toothbrushes are great, and after we worked out how much plastic we've stopped, we were like, there's so much more we can do. So that was kind of our big thing. The reason we went on Kickstarter, we don't have the funds, if we're honest. We don't have the funds, so we went on Kickstarter. It's an incredible platform. We hit our funding target within 24 hours, which was amazing. And I think we're on about 215% at the moment. So we've got seven days left. So please go and check it out. The video is amazing. We're super proud, and we can't wait to release. We can't wait to release all of our new products to the public and put them on our website. And we're calling them purposeful products. And it kind of links in with everything. Well, it does link in with, of course, links in with everything that we're doing. And purpose is a massive thing. So each one of the products are going to be linked to a part of charity or a giving back area of everything we want to do. So, for instance, the water bottles. Every water bottle that gets sold, £1 will go towards our educational workshops in schools. And also we will remove 1 pound in weight of plastic from our environment, which is massive. And each of the products will have their own. The lunchbox, every lunchbox will you purchase will buy a meal for a vulnerable child linked through Humanitas. So each one of them is really important, and they each give back, and that's why we're calling it a purposeful product range. That's really important for us. So enough about me. Namisha, how long have we got?
We've got
Q&A or?
Yeah, we've got 15 minutes for a Q&A, and we've got a few questions already. So the first one is, how did you manage to get into Virgin Atlantic without the marketing budget? That's a great question.
That's a great question. And the answer is social media. I have got another couple of slides, but really it just talks about our main things. I'll just quickly go through them, and it'll kind of link. Our mission is to use the power of social media in a positive way to educate, inspire, and empower through purposeful products that give back and create purpose-filled impacts to our planet and people. So education is massive. Yeah, to link to that question, we don't have any money, so we need to be clever. Our background was social media, so we needed to use that platform in a positive way. We know that there are so many negatives around social media, and yes, completely agree with them negatives, but it's such a powerful platform that if we could turn them negatives into a positive, wow. I mean, we've sold 1 million toothbrushes through using social media with no money. So going back to the question, social media, Virgin Atlantic contacted us. It was April the 4th at about 6 o'clock. I nearly crashed my car because Rebecca screamed, but we got a message from Virgin Atlantic. We actually got an email, and they said they'd seen us on social media. What can we do with a trial? And then anyway, it went through there. We were up against about 30 different companies, big proper corporate companies, and we just went down the line of everything that we're striving to do, and our mission and our story. That we're not a big company. We're a company who really want to strive to do good and give back to our planet and the people. And yeah, that was it. So we won that contract, which was amazing. I mean, what more could you ask for as a company? I know there's a lot of controversial press at the moment with them, but they're a very forward-thinking company in regards to sustainability. The amount of sustainable awards they've won this year is fantastic. So we're very proud of that.
And I think also that, for those of you who are watching, this is a great demonstration of what social ethics now means for a business. I mean, Tommy really, Bamboo Brush exemplifies that. They got contacted because they had a presence, and then secondly, they got selected because of their social ethics. So there are a lot of people who have asked questions over the last 2-3 days about, well, does the market really care about these things? But here you go, they do. Like they
and I think it's a massive point, and it's really, we question ourselves sometimes, and you do question yourselves, but you've got to stay true to what you believe in. And like there were so many times, especially in the first year, that we'd go to these corporate meetings and I try and not blend in, I guess, but I'd try and be corporate to fit in, but it doesn't work. It wasn't natural. And I think I would like to think, and I believe there'll be a turning point in the next, maybe this coronavirus has helped it push that turning point, but there'll be a change from quantity. I think a lot of things are quantity and volume at the moment, and I'd like to think that the story and the mission of a company that will come through. And obviously you've got big companies, you've got like Waitrose and Marks and Spencers and all like the higher premium companies using that, but I'd like to see that filter down into the more everyday people and like us type of people, because I think it's true, and I really do believe that passion and what your mission is can come through. So yeah, going back to that.
I think that's really brilliant. So another question from a younger member of our audience. They asked, Tommy, Rebecca, your story is so inspiring. What would you say to young people like us who probably think that we don't want to go to university but want to champion something like this? What would your advice be for us?
Experience. Go and experience everything. Absolutely, as much as you possibly can. Say yes. If you've ever watched that film Yes Man with Jim Carrey, go do that. Obviously don't be silly and jump. But, just yes. I think I worked out, I went into my school recently, well, a couple of months ago, and someone asked me a similar question, and the previous week I worked out that I think I've had over 50 jobs in my life. I'm only 28. I mean, it used to be in like our parents' generation, it was you have one job or two jobs and that will set you up for the rest of your life. You stay in that same job. I've done everything. I'm not saying I'm a success. I'm not saying that I'm the right way of doing it, but for me personally, and I've got a 14-year-old brother, and I'm telling him, go and experience everything. Whether that's, I've worked as like a cleaner, I've done everything. So I think then you pick up experience in different areas, and also you meet different sorts of people, which is massive. And to be able to hold yourself and conduct yourself in a positive way in someone who's 50 years older than you, or someone who's completely different to yourself, is massive. So go and experience as much as you possibly can, and travel. That's my little one. Travel.
I really like that. And it's very true. I think even as someone who has gone to university, for the person who asked the question.
Yeah. Sorry, Nami. So I'm just going to stop my screen so you can all see
Yeah.
my face. Stop share.
There you go. I'm going to turn on mine too now that you've done that. So yeah, I think, you know, I did a university degree, but I'll be honest with you, when I finished, I didn't really use any of it. So
I didn't. I went to uni and I didn't use any of it. I did to an extent, and it gave me a lot of confidence. But right now, I didn't use anything.
Yeah, no, and it's true. So I think, you know, I really would echo what Tommy says, which is it is really, really important to get experience, and it doesn't matter what kind of experience it is. But I would definitely say if you're passionate about something, then be bold, you know, find companies or people who are doing the work that you're interested in, reach out to them. We live in a totally different world, as Tommy said, you know, try and contact them, just show them your enthusiasm, and I'm sure that they would appreciate your support and, you know, helping you build some experience. So
And I think you'll be surprised, especially if you're young and you're showing that enthusiasm, you'll be surprised the amount of people who want to help you out. Even now, we're very open. We say that we're not experts, and we're definitely not experts. And the amount of people, we're very luckily, people help us out because we're willing to learn. So, and I think that's a massive thing.
absolutely. So next question. It says, based on your experience of plastic pollution in the developing world,
Yeah.
what do you think are some of the major complexities with delivering the recycling centers that you guys have talked about?
A couple. To start with, in the developing world, it's more corrupt. I believe so this time, like May last year, we went over we had a job actually. It was still when we launched the business, and we launched a sustainable initiative with a travel company, and we wanted to go over and find out about our recycling centres, because potentially we've got contacts over there. We can potentially start something, get the ball rolling. After meeting with a couple of people, they pretty much said it's very corrupt in the developing world with recycling. There's a lot of money in it. So I think it has to come from the top, which is really, really tricky, as we all know. So that's one thing. I think it's quite corrupt. So you need to get to the right people, which is one thing. But then also it will be the ethos of people are used to just chucking. When we were in Ghana recently, they use this bag. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but they can't afford water bottles, even plastic single-use water bottles. So they have these bags. They're pretty much like an old sandwich bag we would have to go to school. and it's filled with water. It's horrible water as well. It's filled with water, and they bite into it, so it pierces it and just squeeze it out, and they just chuck it. And that is just the way that's just the way it's done. All of their plastic is chucked. So education on education on strategy of how to even put something in the bin from a young age is huge. But I don't know if I'll quickly show this video.
Go for it.
Because I mean, this is the worst plastic I've ever. I don't know what I've done here. Delete that. This is the worst plastic I've ever seen. And it's a little. Can you see that, Namisha? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I mean, there's no waste management facility, and this is the dry season, so there's no river. Usually, this would be a packed river that goes out into the Atlantic Ocean. But with it being dry season, you can see a little kid in the corner, and round here, just going for, I think he's going to toilet. Sorry, didn't mean to highlight that. But yeah, so I mean, it's just the way. There's no waste management facility. They've never used that. So it's the education of how can we, on a mass scale, teach people how to simply put something in the bin and recycle. It's hard enough in the UK to teach people to recycle.
Yeah.
But I think what we're trying to do with our recycling centres, if we can, okay, you've got all that plastic there, if we can make it incentivize that, so there's an income. So a mum of 4 who can't work a manual job like a male can go and collect plastic, and that can be delivered to a recycling centre, and then that can pay for their children to go to education, that's a huge thing, especially in developing world. A lot of they're so grateful to go to education. So if that could be paid for, that's kind of like a way out of the cycle that they're in. So if we could pay for their education, pay for groceries, it's a massive weight of their shoulder, and it cleans our environment. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You clean up the environment, and you're giving people the opportunity to get out of this poverty it's a cycle. It's a massive cycle.
Yeah, and I think we often forget how much education has a role to play in how we preserve not just the environment, but all sorts of things when it comes to sustainable development. And it's also, it kind of echoes your point. In the developing world, they just don't have infrastructure to do this kind of stuff. So the work you do and the work that so many other NGOs and other social enterprises do out there is so important. We have one question. I think we have time for 2 more questions.
Yeah, that's fine.
The other one is, when you started this business, what were some of your fears? I think this is more of a personal question.
This is going to sound really big-headed, but I didn't have any fears.
Right.
I actually didn't. If we failed, we failed. I mean, we started with £800, which bought 3,000 of these. You can work out the maths if you want, but we had nothing to lose. And we didn't have any fears, so I don't get embarrassed. So we put a crazy thing out. We want to sell 1 million. Sell 1 million of these wooden toothbrushes. So yeah, we didn't have any fears. Really, there was only positives that come out of it. Going back to the first question of the young guys, what to do. It's just the experience. Like, even if it all goes belly up now, we've had the contacts that we've got, the experience that we've got has been invaluable. I mean, it's been incredible. So I didn't have any fears.
I love that.
And I hope that did answer, but didn't answer their question.
No, because I think it goes back to your point, exactly what you said. You had experience, you had some time under your belt, and it's like what you said, what's the worst that could happen? You'd have a lifetime supply of wooden toothbrushes. There you go.
We knew we were going to sell them, even if we gave them out for free.
Yeah, exactly. So one final question.
Yeah.
So this one's for me. So given, obviously, the focus of this summit is, what do we have to do to survive or deliver this UN decade of change? Yeah. So at Bamboo Brush, what are some of your key goals for the next 10 years?
Key goals for the next 10 years. I didn't get a chance to finish the thing because we didn't have time, but I'll sum it up really because that's a good question to finish on. Our big thing is education, inspiration, and empowerment. And I think this ties in perfectly with that. So the educational side is massive. Okay, our education was seeing firsthand the impact, seeing the worst in which plastic pollution was. We didn't get it out of a textbook. And some people, we work with a lot of scientists, and that's their knowledge, but that's their education. But how can we relate the education to people who don't see it? We need to use social media. We need to use social media to spread the awareness on what is actually happening around the world on plastic. So that's the first thing. We then need inspiration, and we say inspire. So our big thing is getting people up, getting people out, and doing community cleanups, getting people to actually see that, okay, this is what's happening in developing world. I can see it on Facebook or Instagram. But if I go to my local park and go into the bush, there's actually plastic everywhere. And everyone, as much as everyone says that there's no plastic in their park and it's so clean, go into the bush. It is absolutely everywhere. So a big thing is inspiration to get up and go out and actually see it for yourselves. Inspiration again is to actually showing people that we can all make simple changes. Okay, all right. We started with this. And £800 and 3,000 of these. We've now sold 1.5 million and stocked 30,000 kilos of plastic entering our commercial circulation. So you've then got the education, the knowledge. You've then got people having the inspiration to actually act on that knowledge, and then empowerment. That's the last one. And I believe that if you've given people the education, you've given people the inspiration, they can then go and spread that awareness for you. So if you can deliver that is so powerful, then you have a snowball effect. So that's kind of like a round off of everything. But the next 10 years for us, what we're planning to do is just bring out our products, more products, and just build in the fact of purposeful products. We believe, if anyone's ever read or has heard of Patagonia, the company, I'm just reading his book. It's the second time I've read it, but it's so valuable, and I think that's how businesses should run. They need to give back. There's the corporates are the corporates, but if we can change how small businesses and medium SMEs run, that's so powerful, and the impact that will make. So yeah, just purposeful products that give back. We want to set up our recycling centers. There's so much that we've got. Even this month we've got so much plans coming up, which are we've got 2 partnerships we're about to announce, which are, I mean, personally bigger than Virgin Atlantic, which is mad. And yeah, thank you. It's amazing. But then also this month, if you all go, and everyone watching, please go and follow us on social media. We're doing a big thing, 1 million in 1 month. And what we want to do is, we want, as a community, I don't really like that word, but as a collective and as a team, we want to collect 1 million pieces of plastic in the month. So about 33,000 a day. We're on 100 so far. So
I'm going to get started for you. I just need to walk into my park because there's
there
enough.
We go. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely going to get started for you. And all of you who are watching, definitely join in. I personally am as well. And just wanted to say, Tommy, thank you so much for what you guys do. Thank you to Rebecca. Thank you for always, like you said, educating, inspiring, and empowering all of us to make one simple change.
One simple change. All starts with one simple change.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us.
So thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.